Hi there. Well, it's still March. We got some more events starting on March 20th, 1525. Paris Parliament begins the persecution or pursuit of Protestants, since it is still dominantly a Catholic kingdom during this time of the Reformation. And in 1569, Duke of Alva leads the 10th Penning in the Les Ponts de Ce, or Les Ponts de Ce. In 1598, Governor of Brittany, Philippe Emmanuel, the Duke of Morcer, or Morcar, submits to the French King Henry IV at Angers. And in 1600, a Lincoln bloodbath takes place on Monday, Thursday, in Linköping, Sweden. And in 1602, United Dutch East Indian Company forms. It is also called the VOC. And in 1612, Walter Raleigh is released from the Tower of London to seek gold in Guyana. And in 1627, France and Spain signed an accord for fighting against Protestants, since they were basically Catholic nations and they were opposed to the Protestant Reformation. The Protestant Reformation was started by other than Martin Luther, and other groups of Christians who sought to form their own churches and to have their own translation of the Bible, as well as their own connection to God or to Christ himself. They don't want a Catholic predicting or dictating what God says to them. And in March 21st, 1556, Thomas Cranmer, the Archbishop of Canterbury, is burned at the stake at Oxford after retracting the last of the 7 recantations the same day. And in 1610, King James I of England and the 6th of Scotland addresses the English House of Commons. And in 1617, Pocahontas Rebecca Rolfe dies of either smallpox or pneumonia while in England with her husband John Rolfe. And March 22nd, 1556, Cardinal Reginald Pole becomes the Archbishop of Canterbury. 1594, French King Henry IV festival in Paris begins. And in 1621, Dutch jurist Hugo de Groot, or Hugo de Gratius, escapes in book a chest from Loevestein Castle in the Netherlands. And in 1622, the first American Indian, the Powhatan massacre of Europeans in Jamestown, Virginia. 347 or 350 are killed in the massacre. And in March 23rd, 1534, Aragonese legal code is formally recognized. And in 1568, the Treaty of Longjumeau, French Huguenots go on strike. And in 1579, Friesland joins the Utrecht Union, or the Union of Utrecht. And in 1593, English separatist Puritans John Greenwood and Henry Barrows, tried and sentenced to death on the charge of devising and circulating seditious books. And on March 24th, 1545, German Parliament in Worms begins, and in 1550, France and England signed the Peace of Boulogne, and in 1603, Scottish King James VI, son of Queen Mary, or Mary Queen of Scots, becomes King James I of England in succession to Elizabeth I, joining English and Scottish crowns. Now on the same day, in Japan, Tokugawa Ieyasu is granted the title of shogunate, or shogun, establishing the Tokugawa shogunate that rules over 300, until 1867. And in 1629, the first game law is passed in America colonies by Virginia Company, or Virginia Colony. And on March 25th, 1571, Catholic Italian businessman Roberto Ridolf leaves England after conducting some business, and in 1581, Portuguese Cortes calls Philip II King of Portugal. And in 1584, English explorer Walter Raleigh renews Humphrey Gilbert's patent to explore North America. And in 1593, the recantation of Loos, the Dutch scholar Cornelius Loos recants his earlier written Protestant or protest against witchcraft, persecution in Trier, Germany, before officials in Brussels. And in 1593, Cornelius de Grootman's fleet depart for the East Indies. And in 1609, Henry Hudson embarks on an exploration, or the Dutch East India Company, to find the passage to Asia, since they now know they run into another continent. They had to go around it to find Asia. And in March 26, 1517, the famous Flemish composer Heinrich Isaac dies. And in 1526, King Francis I returns from the Spanish captivity to France. And in 1534, Lubeck accepts free Dutch ships into East Sea. And in 1552, Guru Amar Das becomes the third Sikh guru within India. And in March 27th, 1513, the Spaniard Ponce de Leon and his expedition sights Florida. And in 1599, Robert de Veru becomes its General of Ireland. And in 1613, the first English child born in Canada at Cooper's Cove, Newfoundland, to Nicholas Guy. In 1625, Charles I, King of England, Scotland, and Ireland, ascends the English throne. And on March 28th, 1535, Blomkamp Abbey of the Olden Cloister, is attacked and destroyed in Friesland. And in 1556, the origin of Fausley era in India begins. And on March 29th, 1549, the city of Salvador da Bahia, the first capital of Brazil, is founded. And on March 30th, 1492, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella signed a decree expelling all Jews from Spain. In 1533, Thomas Cranmer becomes the Archbishop of Canterbury. 1603, at the battle at Mellifont, English army under Lord Mountjoy defeats the Irish. And on March 31st, 1492, Decree of Alhambra expels Jews from Spain, meaning Castile and Aragon. In 1504, France and Spain sign a truce between each other. 1521, Portuguese navigator Ferdinand Magellan takes possession of Homahon, archipelago of St. Lazarus, Philippines. And it is also the date of the first Mass into the Philippines, held on Limasawa Island, or is also said to be on the islands of Masakoin and Bhutan. And in 1547, Henry II succeeds Francis I as King of France. Well, that's it for March. You have a good one. Bye.